Hey, I'm Travis Culver, and we're searching all of Idaho and beyond for the most amazing people, places, and destinations we can find. This is Love Where You Live. This week, it's a tale of two farmers. The first, a man named Earl, farms wheat to pay the bills, but it's what's in his barn that gets him really excited.
Agriculture is what feeds you and I and everybody else on this planet, and you know, this stuff is going away. And so I just got a passion to collect this stuff to preserve our heritage.
The other, a civil engineer turned wheat farmer turned extreme sports master builder.
We were doing the wheat about 7 years ago. We were standing up there on the bottom of the field, and we looked at the topography, and we figured out, well, that's a great place for the zip line.
And you have to save some room for dessert when you visit Trudy's Kitchen in Idaho City.
I still am the only one that makes the cheesecakes here. There's about 4 of us that make pies.
So why are you the only one that makes the cheesecakes?
Because I won't give them the recipe.
You know, if you've ever driven through farmland, it's not that uncommon to come across properties like this that have kind of old rusted equipment on the property and farm equipment and old trucks and big old barns, and you can just blow by it on your way to wherever you're headed and not think much about it. That's pretty common. But what's uncommon here is what's behind this door right here at a place called Sunrise Iron. See, there's a guy behind this door. His name is Earl. Earl, thank you for having us here.
It's been a pleasure.
Earl is the collector, proprietor, owner, maybe a little bit crazy man.
Yeah, probably.
Who has collected an amazing assortment of engineering from 100+ years ago. And we're going to show you that here today on Love Where You Live. I'm not quite sure what I'm looking at here, Earl. I think it's a tractor. We were talking about it as like it almost looks more like a battering ram, but what is this thing?
Well, it's a tractor that I acquired in probably about 1990, and I found it down at Baker City, and it was sitting in an old shed, and it's a 1915 1020 case.
So this is 101 years old.
Yes, it is.
How close is this to the original condition, would you say? I mean, how much restoration did you do on it?
Well, a lot, because it was tore down to the rivets on the frame, and so it was all in pieces, and it had been in pieces for 40 or 50 years. But I just had to lay the stuff out on a piece of plywood, like about 6 or 8 pieces of plywood, all these miscellaneous parts, and then I just had to start putting it together, and then I had to look over here and see what parts
you had left?
And then I had to find a home for them.
Yeah.
I said, well, you know, this has got to be part of the transmission, or this got to be part of such and such.
Yeah.
You need to take it back apart and find a home for that part that's laying there on the floor.
I now know I'm looking at a tractor. Yeah. How many of these are there in the country?
There's two. There's two.
Two?
Two.
This is one of the two?
One of the two. The other is in Harrisburg, Virginia.
My
you know, there
gosh.
might be one more out there or two,
Right.
but if there is, nobody knows about it.
There's only two known of, and you have one of them.
Yeah, and I don't deserve to own it, but you know, it's here at Sunrise Iron.
Behind you is something that appears to be very much steam powered. The thing that confuses me about this is it looks like a tractor, but it also looks like an old railroad engine. So
Steam locomotive, yeah.
Yeah, what am I looking at? And even on the front, it has what looks like a stove door. This looks like it has a stove door on the front. It's got to be something. What is this?
So it's a steam engine, and it's about a 1914. It was about a 10 or 12 year negotiation to get this from the family, and of course it didn't look like this when I got it because it needed a lot of tender loving care.
I would imagine you've put a lot of tender loving care into this. Okay, so here's what I'm curious about this. Let's walk around here, because I want to know where on earth. Well, first off, would you look at the size of these gears?
And the condition of them gears.
Look how huge, and those gears are what's driving the giant steel or iron wheel, right?
Uh-huh.
Those are huge. Where did you stand on this thing? Like, where in the world did the farmer stand? Because it looks like, I don't even know where you'd stand on it.
I've stood up there, so you get up there, and then you can share what you're...
Here?
Yeah, right there. You can share with.
How would you see anything?
Yeah.
All right, I'll try, but
Yeah, and then you can share something. It's intimidating.
this is like driving a freight train. Can I just throw that out? This is like you would be driving a freight train down open road. Like at least on a freight train you had rails. I mean, I'm not quite 6 foot tall. I can't see anything. How tall are you? About 6 foot as well?
Yeah, 6'1".
How do you see anything on this thing?
Well, you just have to go by osmosis.
Osmosis. Code for the lines weren't as straight in the 1920s. Is that what we're saying? Because you know, today you look at farmers' fields and they're crazy straight. You know, they're like snap lines straight almost. 'Cause a lot of
GPS
farmers
straight.
use GPS and all. No GPS here.
No.
Just good old fashioned doing your best to do a straight line. One of the really neat things about Earl's collection that I learned doing a little research on you, Earl, and visiting with Earl, is that every piece in this museum works to some form or function, right?
Absolutely.
So there's no rust buckets at Sunrise Iron. Like these things all run. I would be absolutely terrified to drive this unless it was in like a 400-acre field with nothing I could hit. But everything in this place works. So Earl, you are obviously very, very passionate about this. I mean, from the truck you're sitting in right now to, there's got to be hundreds of artifacts in here, big, small, and in between. Why are you so passionate about this? Why have you taken so much time to not just find this stuff, you've restored it all?
Because it's protecting saving our heritage, and this is what, you know, agriculture is what feeds you and I and everybody else on this planet, and, you know, this stuff is going away. And so I just got a passion to collect this stuff to preserve our heritage.
Why is preserving the history so important to you?
Well, just because, you know, a lot of this stuff is 100 years old, and if it's out in the elements, why, every day that it's out in the elements, it's one day closer to being non-restorable, and pretty soon Mother Nature will take it away from you. So if somebody doesn't show some interest and try to preserve this stuff, why, it disappears off the planet, and then there's no recorded history of, you know, how did we raise food back in the 16th, 17th, 18th century?
How did we get here?
Yeah.
And once history is lost, for good, it never comes back.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to know more about Earl or Sunrise Iron and Earl's passion, just visit lovewhereyoulivetv.com. Up next, we're headed to Idaho City to enjoy a dessert that is truly world famous at Trudy's Kitchen. So when you hear about Idaho City, if you go online and you Google it at all, there's one name that comes up time and time and time again, and that's Trudy's Kitchen, or as the sign says, world famous Trudy's Kitchen, known far and wide for her pies, her huckleberry cheesecake, and her finger steak. So when we heard that at Love Where You Live, naturally we had to find out what in the world the buzz was all about. So let's go check it out. Travis, nice to meet
Hi,
you.
Travis.
Trudy of Trudy's Kitchen. So how did this become Trudy's Kitchen? How'd you get it?
I bought it after it went to sell in an IRS auction.
Okay.
And I needed a place to work. I needed a job.
You needed a place to work, so you bought yourself a
I
position.
bought myself
kinda.
a
You bought
job.
yourself a job, all right.
Yeah, you know how you always want to buy your dream? It's always
Yeah.
my dream to have a restaurant, so I got my restaurant, and some people think it's now my nightmare, but
But the rest, as they say, is history. Here
the
you
rest
are, right?
is history.
I personally have eaten here before, and I can tell just from the food that there's passion behind it. Because when you see one of your pies, there's no question. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, you don't make a pie that looks like that if you don't care. Those things are epic. They're like a mountain. How did that come to be? Because I think pie seems to be pretty central to what you do. What's with the passion?
Growing up, I could get away with just about anything if my dad had desserts. And my dad was a logger, so as long as he had pie, tapioca pudding, cakes,
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
cookies, a lot of my misadventures were overlooked if I kept Dad happy. And then I learned that they were definitely the way to a man's heart. So
You learned how to bake.
I made sure that I made sure I knew what my teachers liked, and if I didn't get an assignment done, I could bake a cherry pie if that's what they liked, and I could get out of being in
awesome.
trouble.
So this is gonna be a tough question, I'm warning you, because this is tough for any cook. What would you say is one of, if not your favorite thing to make?
I really enjoy making the cheesecakes. I make a lot of cheesecakes. I still am the only one that makes the cheesecakes here. There's about 4 of us that make pies.
So
And-
why are you the only one that makes the cheesecakes?
Because I won't give them the recipe.
You heard it here first. All right, fair enough. That's cool. Good for you.
It's my signature thing. I've been making it for a long time, and you know, on our sign it says Homa Huckleberry Cheesecake, and
Yes.
we're Homa Huckleberry Cheesecake.
So my question for you then would be, will you show me how you make a cheesecake? You don't have to show me your recipe.
Well, I've started some in the back, and
Okay.
I'm working on a chocolate raspberry cheesecake and a chocolate cream pie.
Oh my gosh.
And so, if you would like to come back and observe,
I'd love to.
you can watch, and we'll throw some together.
All right, so
There
we're
you
gonna
go.
learn how to make the it's chocolate raspberry
Chocolate raspberry cheesecake.
raspberry cheesecake. And if I'm really sweet to Trudy, I might be able to convince her to let me try a piece of the huckleberry cheesecake.
Maybe.
Because that is the stuff that Legend is made of. That's what I
Yeah.
heard about first. For anything else was
It's-
Trudy's huckleberry cheesecake.
We sell a lot of cheesecake.
All right, well, we're
And a
gonna go
lot of
check it
pie.
out. In the kitchen we go. We're in the kitchen at Trudy's Kitchen getting a lesson on how she makes her famous desserts.
So this is the chocolate crust for the chocolate raspberry cheesecakes.
Chocolate raspberry cheesecake.
And I came
Sounds
up with
amazing.
this, well, this was born of Valentine's Day in, I think, 2011.
Okay.
And I always try to make something new signature for Valentine's Day. And so I made chocolate raspberry cheesecakes. And I knew I had a hit because my uncle came in and my aunt reached over to take a bite of it and he stabbed her with a fork.
Well, that's usually a good indication you
And
did something
yeah,
right.
and he's no logger dude, you know, builds roads for a living. And then he came in the next morning and says, "Sis, you got any more of that stuff you had last night? And you had a piece for breakfast."
Oh my.
So you know you got something good when they're coming back in to have for breakfast. And so yeah, so we've been making it ever since. And
So it consists of, you got a chocolate crust.
and then we put the cream cheese filling,
Okay.
and then we put chocolate sauce in it, and we bake it, and then we put a white sauce on top of it.
And then the raspberries like sprinkled on
And
top,
then we
kind
put
of
a
idea, or-
raspberry sauce on it, and then
mercy.
fresh raspberries on it.
Oh mercy.
So it's yeah.
Now, assuming it's not a trade secret, how long do you have to bake your cheesecakes for?
These actually take longer. These take about 45 minutes.
Okay.
And then the huckleberry, or the plain, the chocolate makes them not. I know somebody's probably going to look at this and go, "I don't normally melt the chocolate this much," but I wasn't paying attention. And
So that's like a chocolate sauce that you've melted down. Then you said
Yeah.
you mix it into it?
mix it around in it.
Okay.
And
So
then
almost
it
do a
cooks in
swirl.
it. It's just, yeah, a bit of a swirl. I'm just trying to get it dispersed throughout it so you don't end up with too much in one spot and none in the other. And then, you know, this is technical, this stuff here with these fingers. This is, yeah.
You're trying to avoid that whole risk of there being the one customer
Right.
who gets no chocolate
Right,
and that
and-
chocolate raspberry cheesecake.
Right. So I had to go to culinary school to learn how to do this.
To do
I'm
the
joking.
finger
Yeah,
chocolate.
The finger
thing.
chocolate.
Yeah, that's highly developed skill.
Highly developed skill. Yeah.
But yet, you probably make cheesecakes how many times a week?
2 to 3 times a week. In
So
the
this
summer,
is not
about
the
every
first
other
time
day.
you've done this.
Oh no.
So,
So we're gonna
after
put them in
this,
the oven.
Mhm.
Then it gets a topping, and then it cools. And so by later tonight, we can put the raspberry sauce on it and the fresh raspberries.
So it's about lunchtime right now.
Mhm.
So these will be all ready for dinner. The dinner
Yes,
crowd.
if I get them in the oven.
If you get them in the oven soon enough.
Maybe.
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 Maybe. That's the voice of a seasoned cook.
Well, you have to check, you know what, every single time you make them, it's different. They cook different. You know, I can tell you they take 40 minutes and they might only take 35.
Right.
So you just have to go look at them and shake them, and that's how you know when they're done.
You shake them.
Yeah.
What's shaking them tell you?
See if they're set in the center.
Okay.
If they're set in the center, you're good to go. Otherwise, if they're not, your topping falls through
Oh.
because it's a weight on top.
Thank you so much for letting us come. This was so much fun. The smells in this kitchen are overwhelming me, and man, this is exciting. So we're gonna take off. but
Thank
we're
you
gonna do
for
it.
showcasing Idaho City.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited.
We're a great little place. Most people don't know that or don't think we are, but we are.
Yeah. This right here is what Love Where You Live is all about. It's celebrating the amazing people and places that make Idaho great. And it's especially fun when we can celebrate the places you didn't even know about. So check it out at lovewhereyoulivetv.com or on Facebook at lovewhereyoulivetv. Coming up, we hang out with a civil engineer who became a wheat farmer and now runs his own zip line and adventure course. Welcome back to Love Where You Live. My hair is messed up. My shirt is a little bit crinkly because we just got done having a riot at this guy. What do you even call your place? Do you have a name for it?
Yeah, there is a name, Lava Zipline.
Lava Zipline. Milan is the proprietor, the owner of Lava Zipline, and the best way I can describe this place is it is a extreme sports complex in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it really, really is. What gave you this idea? Like, where did you cook up this crazy idea? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna build a zip line outside of Lava, Idaho.
We were doing the wheat about 7 years ago, and on the end of the season, we harvest the wheat and we turn that to the flour.
Sure.
And I have a couple places in South Lake when I supply the flour to. But when we were standing up there on the bottom of the field, when we looked at the topography, and we figured out, well, that's a great place for the zip line.
Are you telling me you were a wheat farmer?
Yeah.
And you're looking, so this story gets better. Like you're a wheat farmer and you're looking up at the mountains going, by golly, that'd be great for a zip line.
That's a perfect, because on that upper part of the property, which one have about 10-15 acres, there was no farming, and there was only sagebrush, and topography was just great for the hiking and ziplining.
So where in the world did you learn how to build a zip line? You were a wheat farmer. I mean, I doubt that
Well,
you learned that.
that was one of the job, but my background is I'm a civil engineer, and I have a construction experience for 20-30 years, and I've been working with the chairlift and zip line as well, but not for myself.
Right.
And this means all of those things, when I put together, they were very natural to me.
Right.
It was not,
This is what you did.
yeah, that's what I done. And plus, I'm a skier and hiker and climber and all of that. This means this was very natural to me to do that stuff.
And what's really neat, Milan, is that you've, I think what's unexpected is that you have more than just your zip line.
That's correct.
Like you have
That's correct.
a Ferris wheel that defies explanation almost. It is a human-powered Ferris wheel.
Yeah, that's a one item.
There is
yeah.
no motor.
No motor.
It's all human-powered. You have your guys that are human brakes
That's
for this
right.
thing.
That's right.
And the challenge course, did you watch American Ninja Warrior and get inspired?
No, because the whole thing is just the first 2 years we have our only zip line, and the zip line there is like 4, 5, 6 different commercial zip lines in Idaho, and all over the world there is lots of them, and even in the United States, and people kind of getting, I don't want them to get bored, and I knew the time will come they need to pause that zip line and do something else. And on the zip lining alone, you don't really, doesn't really require any skills. You just pretty much go down the line and that's it. But our clientele who comes over here is they wanted to do more stuff. They're looking for some more physical and we have a different age groups, and this kind of break it up, the whole zipline adventure to the two different things.
Yeah.
And I think, and they go well with each other.
Another one of Milan's recent additions that goes really well with the zipline experience is the 65-foot free dive, free jump, which basically involves you jumping from a 65-foot platform with nothing to stop your fall but a single rope. Okay, so because you're an engineer and you're a builder and you're clearly a dreamer, what's next?
Well, I cannot tell you what is next. Many times, I don't, things like the next project you saw was the dome. Now, when you're asking me what we're planning to do with the dome, I cannot give you the answer right now. You have to come 6 months later and you will see it.
Look at you.
Because there is probably 20 different ideas what they can.
And you're trying to figure out where you want to land with it.
Well, depend how, the same thing with the chain. I have a completely different idea with the chain, what you saw. and this is what became the most fun.
Yeah.
This means sometimes you have to go with the feel and not to be like rigid. Yes, this is what I'm gonna build, and because
So multi-purpose a little bit.
because yeah, you have to go with the feel pretty much. And in about 6 months, I will have an answer for you.
Now I want you to know Milan refers to the chain as fun. I think this might be because Milan doesn't actually pull the chain.
Oh, thank you. I have to pull a chain back.
Oh,
every
that's
day.
fair. That's fair. He makes you pull it. Why do you do it? Like,
Why
you
do
were a
I-
wheat farmer. Why do you do this?
Okay, I
now?
tell you why. Because this is my pretty much insurance right here. Stay active and stay
Boy, and you guys
stay
do.
healthy because I see that as the biggest problem. Anybody who are over 45 or 55, they calling themselves old man or old woman, and pretty much I don't believe that.
As you can see, we're on a very busy street. We're on the main street here in Lava Hot Springs in Idaho, of course. And when you come here, you have to check out Lava Zipline. It is worth every penny. You get more than your money's worth out of it, I would say. And it is a great destination. And if you want to know more about it, just visit lovewhereyoulivetv.com.
It was awesome. Been here it was about 4 years ago when they first come up and or they brought the zip lines up, and they put a whole bunch more obstacles and stuff here. It's really awesome.
I thought it was pretty fun, a little scary because I'm not super brave, but it was awesome.
Well, that's it for this episode of Love Where You Live. If you want to know any more about the destinations, adventures, people you saw in this episode, or you want to pick up your own Love Where You Live gear like this Moose Gangster shirt I've got on, you can find it all in one place, lovewhereyoulivetv.com. I'll see you next time.